I realized that my reputation is not a very good one. And so when the Ankomah Institute invited me, I turned them down. I said, I'm not going to get involved with this because I may not know how to control myself. And finally, this morning, I was dragged, kicking and screaming here. So I rushed to my office to put my thoughts down. In less than 20 minutes, I had 5 pages. But I'm not going to inflict that on you. I'm not going to inflict that on you. Clara, aren't you just amazed by Clara's intelligence and her strength of character? I assure you that I take no credit for what Clara does, but it gives you an indication as to the kind of people who pass through our hands. Ghana, wow. I like the terms, corporate governance, and all the nice economic terms you use. Who is talking about stealing? Yeah, the finance minister. Oh, that's for you. Your own is different. Who is talking about stealing? Plain theft. Now, I agree, there's indicators and the macroeconomic, Look, Obama said something about Africa, which is probably true, that Africa doesn't need any strong men or women. We need strong institutions. He might have been right for Africa. He was wrong about Ghana. He didn't read his notes. CIA didn't brief him well. Ghana has every institution to flourish. What we lack are the men with testicular fortitude and the women with mammary fortitude and the spine to enforce the law. Simple. Next time, don't invite me. And this on live TV, you're in trouble. Clara is right. Let's stop mollycoddling this issue. Now, let's look at the basic thing on banking. The Lord Christ talked about banking when he talked about the parable of talents and said the lowest thing you can do with your money is to take it to the user through usury, which is not a very nice word, but the root is useless. It's the use of money. And so the least thing a Ghanaian can do when he or she has money is to give it to the bank. The biggest protection of our money when it goes to the bank is from armed robbers who will come to our house at night holding pistols and guns and knives, only to find out that the best way to rob a bank now is not to wear a mask and have a gun, but to own a bank. Like I said, next time, don't invite me. Where are the powers of the Registrar General? Ladies and gentlemen, we have had law in this country since 1963 that could kill this in one fell swoop. The Registrar General alone can stop all of this without us even getting to Bank of Ghana. And maybe during the panel discussion, I'll go a bit into it. I've told Bernard, when you get tired of me, tell me, I'll sit down. Where are the powers of the Bank of Ghana? I'll get to that. Where are the powers of the states? Really, were there lawyers in these banks? We must shine the light on ourselves. Were there auditors? Or have the external auditors become like the man at my fuel station, and whenever I ask him for a receipt, which is when I've told him to keep the 5 cedis change, he will ask, Master Mintro saying, in other words, Master, how much should I write on the receipt? Look, why has this gone on? Everyone assumes, knows, that the Bank of Ghana may not or has not done a lot, or maybe anything, historically. We have in Ghana the Banking Act, the Act 930, which literally crowns Bank of Ghana the god of banking in Ghana. It is one of the most powerful statutes regulating banks anywhere in the world. And do you know why? It was passed when this contagion began. So we saw the mess and realized that the 2004 Act was probably not broad enough to cover it. So we deliberately sat down and in September and October 2016 passed a law to give Bank of Ghana the power to deal with this. Literally, the bank can decimate a fly with a sledgehammer. There are administrative fines, court fines, jail terms, disqualification of persons, primarily aimed at protecting the public and the depositor, who has assumed that the best protection is to go to the bank. So Obama was wrong. We have the institutions. We have the law. Whence cometh the men and women? That is why I am not ashamed to say 2 thumbs up to Dr. Ernest Addison. I am not, in fact, not 2 thumbs up, slam dunk. And his current team. The law exists. The report on the failing banks exists. The 2014 and 2015 banking examination reports are there. They spoke the truth. Foreign investors tried to invest in some of these institutions and found the contagion, ran away, and gave the reports to the Bank of Ghana. It didn't do diddly squat. Some law firms in this country did legal due diligence for intended investors. They saw the contagion. They wrote the due diligence report. It went to Bank of Ghana. They didn't do squat. We can live here without term. They didn't do squat. All Ghana needed were the men and women to deal with this. Let's go to 1963, or even before that. You understand the concept of the company, that the company, when it's incorporated, exists separately from its shareholders and directors. That's basic law, Company Law 101. But that also means that the assets of the company do not belong to the directors and shareholders. Excuse me, Mr. Shareholder, Madam Shareholder, your only entitlement to money from the company is in your dividend. 1. 2, you are only paid a dividend when the company has made profit. 3, you are only paid the dividend when the directors have declared profit. Apart from that, the Companies Act, which we passed in 1963, makes illegal any other distribution to shareholders. In fact, to distribute anything to shareholders, you need to go to court for an order, so that you can't put your money in and take it out. This is not a susu scheme. Company law is serious business. So if you put your money in the company, all you get is dividend. You are not entitled to take a car home. When you die, the company's assets won't be shared. But we do not seem to understand that. Now, and so if you, and directors, all you're entitled to are your certain allowances, directors' fees, and whichever salary is given to you. Same with employees. The company's money is not your money. So if you run a bank and the bank has 6 billion cedis, and you put your hands in the 6 billion and put it in your pocket, you have stolen. What's the definition of stealing? Our law says, quote, a person steals who dishonestly appropriates a thing of which that person is not the owner, unquote. Simple. So the money is not yours. It's for the company. Worse, it has been put there by depositors. If you put your hand in it and put it in your pocket, you have been dishonest, you have appropriated, the thing is not yours, you are a thief, go to jail. If you pass go, don't take 200. So why are we mollycoddling this issue? Why are we talking so nicely about it? Look, if we got that right, the capital adequacy and others might not even come up. Look, let's continue. Stop me when you're tired. Then, even under normal company law, we had rules on lifting the veil, because the law realized that people would hide behind the company and say, it's the company who did it, it's not me. So basic rules on lifting the veil shows instances where the law would disregard the corporate veil and hit at the people who are trying to steal from the back of the company. In Ghana, in 2003, Justice Yappel, who is now on the Supreme Court, gave a decision, and he described the corporate veil as a boomerang that could hit the person who is trying to exploit it. Trust me, in Ghana, this boomerang doesn't work. It only hits the company. In 2016, when we began to see where the world was going, especially after the Enron issues, we passed an amendment to our Companies Act, which introduced the concept of the beneficial owner, which is really this Aminon's Greece, who sits at the back, but whose name is not in the books, but who chops all the money and who controls everything. It now demands that your particulars must state every beneficial owner. And it must be in your annual returns, address, email address. So if we are looking for who is using the directors as puppets, we will go after the person. This exists in our law. Now, our law also says, Registrar General, Companies Registry, if the company is being run fraudulently, if people are being defrauded by the company's registrar can institute his or her own inquiry into the company and demand all records and books from the company. And if the company's registrar determines that wrong has been committed, depositors' monies are being blown on properties and assets and being shifted through layers and webs of companies, the company's registrar has the power to write to the Attorney General, make a report, and the directors and officers will be prosecuted. Not just that, the Registrar General can then go to court and seek a court order for the just and equitable winding up. But this is the more powerful power. the Registrar General can then institute an action in the name of the company against all people who have stolen from the company or used the company to defraud other people for compensation. We have had this law in our statute book since 1963. I have no record of any decided case where this power has been exercised. And so Claire is right. We might just pass a few more laws, rub ourselves on the back as to how current we are, and do nothing about it. Why would we do anything about it? In 2016, when we passed Act 930, we gave the Bank of Ghana more power than it probably needs. It can do literally anything, and we introduced stronger concept on the insider and on related party transactions. An insider includes your wife. Can I just read the definition of insider? Sorry, like I said, I was typing this morning, so my thoughts. Yeah, the insider and related interest. The insider is the director, executive, key management personnel, significant shareholder. The related interest includes, listen, a related person is a spouse, son, daughter, stepson, stepdaughter, brother, sister, father, mother, cousin, niece, nephew, aunt, uncle, stepsister, and stepbrother. Those are insiders. And there are rules. You just can't give contracts to them. You are banned from giving contracts to them unless the contracts are on completely commercial terms. And so if your son's company is providing services to the bank, you can't give it to them on preferential terms. They can't charge you more than the market will charge you. And if you do that, you have sinned against the law. You should go to jail. Why are we having a long discussion on this? I'm coming to an end. We don't need another law. We need men and women to enforce the law. Some of what I've seen is shocking. As I read them, I cannot believe it. But guess what? It has happened. And many of us might look at it and say, oh, they were just smart. Our law says you can't be that smart with depositors' funds. But I'll end with a caveat. Let's not rush the Bank of Ghana. I know enough to know that white-collar issues and white-collar crimes are some of the most difficult to prosecute. If you make a mistake and you lose one, you've lost your mojo. So watch Mueller and what he's doing in the US, slowly, very slowly. But when he hits, he files 18 charges, knowing that even one can take you to jail for 10 years. And by the time the jury brings a verdict, at least 8, and so you begin to multiply. The 70-year-old may be in jail for about 10 years. And because it's a federal crime, at least he must serve 80% of it. And so let's allow Ghana's Mullahs a little bit of space and time. But they too, they should hurry up soon. Thank you.